Alright guys, I got a treat for you today for anyone who plays Buddy Fight. I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my 100 Demons deck. As you can see, I have the secret artwork flag. It's really nice. Really shiny. And of course, I like to do character decks, as a lot of you know, so my buddy for this is Great Fiend Yamigedo. This is my second draft of the deck. I'm sorry I couldn't get up my first draft, but let's get started on this. I run the Thundermine Focus version, which takes advantage of the size 3 version of Yamigedo that came out in their new half set. Resurrected Evil Deity Yamigedo, which can use the Thundermine of every 100 Demons monster in its soul. Plus it has Soul Guard, and you can move 100 Demons card from your hand into its soul. So you can just keep ramping it, and no matter how many souls they pop, you can always replace it with one more to help protect. But to get started off, I first run for size 0s. It was 4 Demonic Beast of Gem Voriv. I think that's how it's pronounced. Its Thundermine is whenever a size 3 is placed on the field by my opponent, it'll deal out 1 point of damage. Thundermine being the new general skill for 100 Demons, pretty much only deals out 1 point of damage in exchange for doing in a certain action. Next up for size 1s, I have 4 Purplish Green Dragon Paluda. It is a Thundermine to punish size 1s being called. 3 Ogre Size Dragon. It does the same thing as Paluda, punishes for size 1s being called. I really want to replace it. So I'm looking through stuff and seeing what's coming up that's new that I could really use for it. I run 3 Stranger Dilemma. It is a Thundermine for spells. I run 2 Call Dragon Milgris. Listen, his Thundermine is whenever a card is put into my opponent's gauge, it deals out a point of damage, but then has to be immediately retired after dealing damage. So the point is to kind of try and move him into your soul as fast as possible, because then you're dealing a consecutive 1 point of damage at least each turn your opponent puts a card in their gauge. Well, once per turn, so only 1 per turn, but still. If you have 2 in the soul, you're dealing out 2. Next up, I have 4 Poisonous Water Dragon Zazamera. He's a Thundermine that punishes size 2s being called. He's also a pretty good wall if you don't immediately get Yamigedo with that 5,000 defense. And his 6,000 power helps him run over most things in the center. Next up we have 3 Demonic Descent Ninja Zeon. I like him in the deck, namely because you call him, his call cost is 1 gauge, and you can choose any card with Thundermine from your drop zone and call it. Ideally you'd use it to get Gem Beast Vuv or any of your size 1s, being the smart option to go into Yamigedo that very same turn. Alright, and that's our size 2s. Next up we have our size 3s. First up I have 4, sorry. Cannot math tonight very well. I have 4 Great Fiend Yamigedo. Not only does he contain double attack, but he also has Soul Guard, along with some cards in the deck can make him a real pain to deal with, but we'll get into some of those and some of the combos later. And finally, for our size 3s, we have 2 Resurrected Evil Deity Yamigedo. Once per turn, you can move 1 card from your hand that has the 100 Demons attribute into its soul. It gains the Thundermine of all cards in soul. So he can become a really big punishing force if your opponent lets him build up too much. Right now, my spells are kind of, little all over the place, but they've been working out for me so far. First up, I have 2 Demonic Way. You have 100 Demons Isoshi, which is when you have 6 life or less, you can draw 2 cards by paying 1 gauge. So it becomes quite helpful. And for those other people who run it, we have 100 Demon Sorcery Yamigedo. Essentially just to nullify, it's a Solomon Shield for 100 demons, which I find really useful to run at 4. Next up, I run quite a few set spells that I use to focus the deck around. First up is 100 Demon Sorcery Mad Dancing. It gives all cards on my field the move ability. So for any of those who are going to be like, well, I didn't see Soaring Flame Lindworm in the deck. Well, the reason he's not in there is because I have Mad Dancing. And so far I've seen Mad Dancing often enough that I was able to tech out Lindworm and replace it with other things. Next up, Starved Yamigedo. Anytime 100 demons monster is destroyed, gain a gauge. So be it from your weapon's ability or whatever, you're going to gain a gauge each time 100 demons is destroyed. And of course, to go with that, that works perfectly, Reinforced Formation of 100 demon. So if you destroy it with your weapon, you're able to call it back if it's a size 1 or less. You also have 4 Ghetto Shield. Basically, it's a Dragon Shield on crack, in my opinion. Because whenever it nullifies, it also deals a point of damage. So, in my opinion, it's a better version of Red Dragon Shield. And then finally, we have 100 Demons Tome of Judgment, which is essentially, a Dragonic Grimoire form the deck. Discard your hand and draw 3 cards. So, I focus a lot on draw power, namely to get my 100 demons into my hand to then put into Yamigedo's soul later on, or get into my Yamigedos. Next up, we have our weapon, which is our Thunderclaw Narukame. For anyone who doesn't know or has not watched the show, Thunderclaw Narukame has a counter ability that says kill the monster in your center, and it gains a critical. So it's a great way to get around, having a monster in your center, but also being able to attack with the weapon. This goes into Starved Yamigedo and Reinforced Formation as well. Now I'm waiting to get, stuff from the newest set that came out, Assault on the Omnilords, for their new impact. So hopefully I'll be putting up a new deck profile a bit later. But for now, we have Beast Mode Hungry Claw War, where if I have a monster in my center and a weapon equipped, I can deal out 3 points of damage for only 2 gauge. So it's a game ender. Plus most people don't know this, but there are some impacts out there that can be cast more than once. Diabolical Hardcore can be cast more than once. Gargantuan Punisher cannot be cast more than once. So if you wanted to drop 2 of these in a turn, as long as you meet that condition, you can do it. Just weapon, monster in center, and it doesn't even matter if your opponent has a monster in their center. So one of the reasons I love this impact is it can be abused pretty easily in this deck if it's not charged. But that'll be it for this deck profile. Be sure to let me know what you think if you have your own opinions, your own comments. If you run a version of this deck, feel free to send me your deck list and, explain to me what you do with yours. As always, guys, keep watching, subscribe, and keep on playing.